What's going on, guys? My name is Richard, and welcome back to another weekly Watchlist video sponsored by Marketsmith. For each of the stocks on my focus list, we'll go through the fundamentals such as earnings growth, sales growth, fund ownership, and also discuss the specific technical setup that I would use to trade each of them. If you find my analysis helpful, please go ahead and hit the like button down below and subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one every single week. And before we get into it, this is the last week of my summer stock pick contest, so if you want to be eligible for prizes such as gift cards and trading books, make sure to submit your pick down below in the comment section, following the rules on screen right now. And with that said, let's get into the analysis and start with ACMR. Taking a look at the earnings and sales, you can see that the past two quarters have been pretty lackluster. Last quarter earnings were up 12%, sales up 35%, and after-tax margins up 15.9%. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see in 2020 it's supposed to decrease 23%, but it's supposed to pick back up in 2021, up 73%, although the revisions are down. The EBS rating is a 40, the Group RS is an A, SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B, and the overall composite rating is a 95. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see an increasing trend and a big jump this past quarter, but you don't have any high quality funds investing into this stock. And taking a look at the chart, you can see it's been very strong, especially since the stage 4 base, and overall the RS rating is a very strong 99, and the RS line is basing along with the price. And as for the specific entry setup, I want to see a break of this downward trend line right here, or eventually a green dot as it bounces off this area of potential support at around the top of this previous consolidation. So that's ACMR, and next up we've got AMD, which I did actually buy this past Thursday on this nice upside reversal and bullish outside day. And overall, looking at the earnings and sales, you can see this is exactly what I hope to see. Last quarter earnings were up 125%, sales up 26%, and after-tax margins up 11.2%. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see in 2020 it's supposed to grow 72% and a further 49% in 2021. The EPS rating is a 99, the Group RS is an A+, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall comms rating is a very strong 99. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see it's almost doubled over the past 2 years, and you do have 3 high-quality funds investing into AMD. And looking at the chart, you can see that it's consolidating now after this huge run-up with some positive gaps up on volume, and the RS line is basing along with the price during the short-term consolidation. And as for the technicals, I did buy this past Thursday because it was a green dot, short-term stochastic cross, a downward trendline break, as well as an upside reversal. And if you don't know specifically what an upside reversal is, I'll have a link to the video I made about that setup right above right now. It's definitely a very important thing to know, especially when you're learning about price action. But overall, I'm looking for an add-on as it breaks out into new all-time highs above 87.29. So that's AMD, and next up we've got CALX. And looking at the earnings and sales, you can see last quarter it had a blowout quarter, earnings up 999%, sales up 17%, and after-tax margins up 7.1%. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see in 2020 it's supposed to grow 767%, and in 2021 a further 21%, and the revisions are up as well. The EPS rating is a 69, the Group RS is a C, SMR rating is a C, accumulation distribution is an A, and the overall composite rating is a 94. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see an increasing trend over the past 2 years, but you don't have any high quality funds investing into this stock. And looking at the chart, you can see it moved up quite rapidly, especially since this earnings breakout, but then it's been consolidating, and overall the RS rating is a very strong 97. And as for the entry setup, I want to see a green dot early next week if it acts well, or potentially a break of this downward trend line, a break of the short-term resistance at about 2164, and eventually a breakout into new all-time highs through the screen line at 2297. And I really like the price pattern in this stock, and overall there's a lot of signs of accumulation. It's been holding that 21 EMA pretty much through this entire move. So my expectation is that it finds support very soon and moves up once again. So that was CALX, and next up we've got COUP software, which I also bought down in here, and it is potentially setting up for a breakout through this flat base area. And overall, looking at the earnings and sales, you can see they're fantastic. Last quarter earnings up 567%, sales up 47%, and after-tax margins up 12.1%. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see in 2021 they're supposed to decrease 25%, but they're supposed to grow 64% in 2022, and the revisions are up as well. The EPS rating is a 78, the Group RS is an A+, the SMR rating is an A, the accumulation distribution is a B, and the overall composite rating is a 99. And you've got an increasing trend in the fund ownership, and you have 6 high-quality funds investing into COUP software. And taking a look at the chart, you can see it's potentially in this nice flat base area, although this did kind of overshoot this high right here, so that's why it's not showing up in pattern recognition. But overall, there's a nice consolidation, and the RS rating is a very strong 95. And as for the entry setup, I want to see a breakout into new all-time highs above 319.55. So that is COUP, and next up we've got CrowdStrike, which I also bought early last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, down in here right near the 50-day moving average, and this is showing up as a flat base on Marketsmith. And overall, looking at the earnings and sales, you can see excellent revenue growth the past 4 quarters. The last quarter earnings were up 118%, sales up 85%, and after-tax margins up 2.5%. And you can see in 2021 and 2022, it's not supposed to be profitable, and overall the EPS rating is a 73, the group RS is an A, SMR rating is a D, accumulation distribution is a B-, and the overall composite rating is a 94. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend over the past 2 years and a huge jump this past quarter. And you do have Fidelity Contra Fund investing into CRWD. And looking at the chart, it's showing a flat base, as we said, and overall the RS rating is a 93, and the RS line is basing along with the price. And as for the entry setup, this is a potential double bottom right here with an entry point above the pivot at 116, and eventually a breakout into new all-time highs above 118.58. So I want to see it hold this pattern right here and move up early next week. And overall, I would like to see more volume coming in on this move up, but hopefully that comes in next week as well. So that was CrowdStrike, a previous stock of the week. And next up, we've got EBS, or Emergent Biosolutions. And overall, looking at the earnings and sales, you can see excellent growth here. Last quarter earnings were up 890%, sales up 62%, and after-tax margins up 26.8%. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see in 2020, it's supposed to grow 121%, and in 2021, a further 10% on top of that, and the revisions are up as well. And this year, 2020, is a breakout year because it's a big increase in annual EPS, and that's definitely something to take note of. And overall, the EPS rating is a 94, the group RS is an A-, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall composite rating is a 99. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, but you do not have any high-quality funds investing into this stock. And overall, taking a look at the chart, you can see it's moved up 80% from the pivot in 84 days, and overall has been moving up quite quickly and basing recently, with the RS line basing as well. And overall, the RS rating is a 97, and taking a look at the technical setup that I would plan to use, I want to see a break of this downward trend line right here. And one thing that I like in TC2000 is you can drag this down just slightly, set an alert right there, so you kind of get an early warning before it would break out through that setup. And potentially, you could also use a short-term stochastic cross, a green dot early next week, or a breakout into new all-time highs above 137.61. So that's EBS, and next up on the list, we've got our first solar stock, ENPH. And looking at the earnings and sales, you can see a few quarters ago, it was growing quite rapidly, but last quarter you did have a lackluster report, earnings down 6%, sales down 6%, but after-tax margins up 18.8%. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see it's supposed to grow 25% in 2020 and a further 45% in 2021. The EPS rating is a 48, the group RS is A+, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B-, and the overall composite rating is a 91. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend over the past 2 years. You do have Fidelity Contra Fund investing into this stock. And looking at the chart, you can see it moved up from a stage 1 cup with handle, is now basing right above that pivot right here. And overall, the RS line is basing along with the price, and the RS rating is a very strong 96. And as for the entry setup, you can see that it's kind of forming the short consolidation. So I would draw kind of a horizontal line right here, set an alert right here, and enter if it breaks through that or potentially forms a green dot signal early next week. And overall, I think this is a group move among the solar stocks because a lot of them are also acting well. You've got RUN, you've got SEDG, the other leaders setting up. You've also got VSLR and FSLR. All of them are kind of in this flat consolidation area looking to break out. So if you want to play the group move, you can always buy TAN, the solar ETF. And overall, this has been acting very strongly since the March bottom and is now looking to break out into new all-time highs. So that's it for ENPH. And next up, we've got LRN, or K through 12 Inc. And overall, you can see this was on my watch list this past week, but it didn't act well and is pulling back to this prior support level around 40. And overall, looking at the earnings and sales, you can see last quarter earnings were up 288%, sales up 5%, and after-tax margins up 4.7%. And in 2021, it's supposed to grow 32% in terms of annual EPS, and a further 31% in 2022, and the revisions are up as well. And the EPS rating is a 91, the group RS an A-, the SMA rating is a C, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall composite rating is a 93. And looking at the fund ownership, it's pretty much flat over the past 2 years. You do not have any high quality funds investing into this company. And overall, looking at the chart, I would like to see the RS line move up once again along with the price, and the overall RS rating is a 96. And as for the entry setup, what I'm looking to use is a break of this downward trend line right here, or potentially a bounce off the 50-day moving average or the previous green line. And I really like the signs of accumulation on these big up bars right here. And overall, it should hold this green line. And if it does close behind it, I definitely think that this setup would be broken. So that's my plan for LRN. And definitely this stock is a play on the move back to online education during this fall semester. So that's it for LRN. And next up, we've got NIO or NIO. And looking at the earnings and sales, you don't see nice growth here, except for this past quarter in terms of sales. After-tax margins were down 30.4%. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable within the next 2 years. And overall, the EPS rating is a 57, the group RS an A+, the SMA rating is a D, accumulation distribution is an A, and the overall composite rating is a 94. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see an increasing trend, but you do not have any high-quality funds investing into this company. And overall, looking at the chart, the RS rating is a very strong 99, and it's currently in a cup and handle base right here with a 1545 standard pivot. And as for the entry setup, I want to see a break of the downward trend line and then potentially an add point at that standard pivot of 1545 and eventually a breakout into new all-time highs at 1644. And overall, it's in a nice consolidation pattern. It's right up against its green line right here. So I think if it can break through this resistance right here and out of this base, it can really go. So that's NIO. And next on the list, we've got ONEM. And taking a look at the earnings and sales, you can see it's not yet profitable. And the revenue growth is decreasing or decelerating, which is a potential red flag. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable in 2020 or in 2021. The EPS rating is a 2, the group RS is a B-, the SMA rating is not available, accumulation distribution is a C-, and the overall composite rating is a very poor 26. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see an increasing trend over the past 2 quarters. And you do have 2 high-quality funds investing into this stock. And taking a look at the chart, you can see that it did have a gap down on volume on this day, which is another red flag. But overall, it's finding support at the 28 or 30 level, which was resistance at this point, and then support during this cup. So hopefully it can move up once again. And overall, the RS rating is only a 68, and the RS line is definitely going the wrong direction. So really, if this doesn't hold and it doesn't start moving up, I wouldn't even consider this. So overall, the technical step that I would hope to use is either a bounce off the green line or the anchored VWAP, and potentially a breakout above this point of resistance right here at about 30, and also here, which is also about 30.27. So hopefully it can reclaim this 21 EMA and start another uptrend. So that was ONEM, and next up we've got Pinterest, and this was a former stock of the week, and I compared it to both Facebook and Fastly after their huge earnings gap ups, so make sure you check out that video if you haven't yet. And looking at the earnings and sales, you can see decent growth a few quarters ago, but that has slowed down the past 2 quarters. Last quarter earnings were not available, sales up 4%, and after-tax margins down 14.1%. And in terms of annual EPS, you can see in 2020, it's barely supposed to grow, but it is supposed to get a big jump in 2021, up 999%. The EPS rating is a 13, the group RS is an A+, the SMA rating is a C, the accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall composite rating is a 77. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend. You do have 2 high-quality funds investing into pins. And as for the chart, you can see that the RS line is basing along with the price, and the overall rating is a very strong 93. And as for the entry setup, I want to see a greened out early next week, and I did sell half my position on this day right here, but it is potentially finding support at around 33.50, so keep that in mind, and hopefully it can move up and break out into new all-time highs above this previous level of 37.33 and this false breakout last week of 38.23. So that is pins, and last up on the list, we've got Peloton, and looking at the earnings and sales, you can see it's not yet profitable, but it does have very substantial revenue growth, up about 100, then 70, now 66% this past quarter. And overall, looking at the annual EPS, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable in 2020 or in 2021. And the EPS rating is a 16, the group RS is a D-, the SMA rating is a D, the accumulation distribution is an A+, and the overall composite rating is a pretty poor 68. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend with a big jump last quarter, and overall you do have 3 high-quality funds investing into this company. And looking at the chart, you can see that the RS line is basing along with the price, and the overall RS rating is a very strong 97. And as for the entry setup, I want to see a break of this downward trend line right here on volume, and eventually a breakout into new all-time highs above 73.21. And I like the signs of support here, the upside reversals on volume on here and right here, and then the move up on the green dot on this day right here. So that's my plan for Peloton, and overall my top 3 setups are AMD for an add-on buy if it breaks into new all-time highs, CrowdStrike for an add-on if it breaks this double bottom pivot, and also ENPH and the other solar names if they break this kind of sideways consolidation. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please remember to leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and also let me know your pick for this week down below in the comment section. And other than that, best of luck, and I'll see you guys in future videos.